All right, y'all, this is a serious question. Why do we always go back to bad relationships that we know we don't belong in? How many times have y'all gone back to a relationship that you know you needed to walk away from? Be real. I know I done went back 11 times, okay, to the same man, okay? We're gonna talk about this because I feel like we know better, but we just don't do better because of comfort. So today's heart topic is, why do we go back to what broke us? So stay tuned. Make sure you pay attention in this episode because it's gonna get real. And I'm gonna share a lot of my personal experience on why I went back 50 million times to the same relationship, to the same man.
It's a heart surgery free, rediscovering me. I want you to get through this. Real life conversations, we gotta get straight to this. It's a heart surgery free, rediscovering me. I want you to get through this. Real life conversations, we gotta get straight to this.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Heart Surgery Podcast. I'm your host, Shanique King, the Soft Girl Specialist, and on this show we have real life, heart-to-heart conversations. If you are someone looking to rediscover a new version of you, please stay tuned because I am helping women move from victim to victory. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Heart Surgery Podcast, because we have a word to get out to women all over the world. All right. So the heart topic today is, why do we go back to what broke us? Y'all, let's get into this tea, okay? Because this is something that, in hindsight, I couldn't comprehend. But now I can actually laugh about it. I mean, am I the only one that kept going back to the same man? And I know I ain't had no business there. I think one of the most important things in a situation like that is we don't value ourselves and we don't know our self-worth. I remember when I separated from my ex-husband, I really thought it was the end, y'all. Like, I swear I thought it was the end. We had sold our house. He went his way. I went my way. And almost a year went by when we were truly separated. And out of the blue, it's like something came about, something happened, and then we got back together. Almost a year of being separated. I should have literally been detached in all kind of ways by then. But some way, somehow, he done creeped back in. We got back together. And life continued. I think in that moment, honestly, I think I was just confused. I was confused because thinking back on it now, it's like, why didn't you just move forward with a divorce then? But I think a part of me just had hope, right? I think when we're married, we want to do the right thing. And so a lot of times you're going to find like women talking about or saying, well, that was my husband. You know, as a wife, that's our favorite line as a wife. That was my husband, or that is my husband. So it holds weight, right? It holds weight. And I think that when we're married and we value our marriage or our relationship, we feel like that is my husband. We feel like they can do no wrong. We can do no wrong. There's really no true mistake because this is what God intended, marriage, right? But not putting the blame on somebody else, right? Taking a full accountability for myself. I was lost. I didn't know whether I was going to my left or to my right. And to get back into a relationship that I knew was not good for me at the time, it kind of felt like a slap in my own face. Because in that same moment, I knew exactly what was going on, right? I knew exactly what had transpired, and I knew what I deserved. But I guess I didn't want to let go. And I think we come to that point in life where it's like we've spent so much time in a relationship. We've grown to know this person for X amount of years. And it's like, I'm not walking away from 15 years. I'm not letting nobody else have them. Although you're going through hell and high water, you would rather keep yourself in that space before you let another woman have them, right? That's so stupid. Like, it's so stupid. But I think it really all boils down to not knowing your self-worth, not knowing who you are, not valuing yourself. And look, I'm gonna be real honest. We walk around as boss chicks, confident women. We got it all together because that's what everybody think, especially on social media. We got it all together. We drive this, we live here. We got we make this amount of money on our job. We have this title on our job. And all of that labels us as a boss chick, right? But behind the boss chick, nobody sees none of that. Nobody sees none of that. So nobody truly knows the struggles that we are dealing with on a day-to-day, right? So when I encounter people, rightfully so, right? I'm confident. I have a great job, right? I make great money. All of the things that really don't matter, but to people it matters. But as I'm sharing my journey and going through this podcast stuff, and I'm learning and exposing myself, because that's what I'm doing, I'm realizing that there's so many women just like me, and we're really all figuring this out. And sometimes I question myself, like, are you really the boss chick that you say you are? Let's be honest. I know y'all feel the same way. Because sometimes we go through things and we're like, I don't feel worthy, right? I don't feel dope. I don't feel beautiful. I feel like crap because I'm going through crap. And I think one of the main reasons why we continue to go back to situations we have no business in the first place is because of habits and patterns that we are not bold enough, courageous enough to break. And we can go down a whole list of things that we've gone through. I could give y'all a whole sob story. Nobody cares. It's the bottom line of growing up, being a big girl, putting your big girl panties on, and facing the true fact about yourself on why you keep going back to the same relationship that's breaking you. And in this moment, I'm speaking to all my women. Hell, all my men too. But I'm speaking to all of y'all because we get in this space to where we think that because we are in a committed relationship and we're going through hell, that it's okay. And it's not. It's not. I'm so tired of people making excuses for their wives and their husbands like it's okay. Like for the simple fact that you are married, that should be more of a reason why you should be getting treated the right way. And I'm guilty of that because when I was married, I would say stuff like, well, at least it's my husband. What? No, because it's my husband, because it's my wife, I should be getting treated the way I deserve to be getting treated. And we get so stuck on the fantasy of people. I think that's another reason why we go backwards, is because we're lacking in our lives and we're looking for something. And when that person presents that something, whatever it is, we get excited about it. But it's really the fantasy in our minds of what we want somebody to be in our lives. And I said this on my story earlier this week. We get with people based on a fantasy, and we leave them based on their reality. And that's the honest to God truth. Because we saw the red flags, we saw the yellow flags, we saw all the flags before we got to the point of brokenness. Quite honestly, the reason why you attached yourself to brokenness was because you was already broken before you even met that person. So this is one of the reasons why we have to stop blaming other people for our lack. Because if you're healed and you're whole, then you're not even attaching yourself to somebody that's broken. They won't even be able to come in your space because you're healed. Healed and perfect are two different things. Two different things. None of us are perfect. And most of us aren't healed. We're just living a day-to-day life, seeking validation from other people, from our spouses, from our kids, whoever, our job, money. And we're failing to realize that the reason why we keep accepting less than behavior from other people is because that's what we're used to receiving from childhood to adulthood. Another thing that we do is we get connected to what feels familiar. And that's scary. That's scary, to be honest, because when I sit and think about all of the personal experiences that I've gone through, one of the main things that stand out to me is being let down. Being let down. I've gone through that a lot as a child, especially as a child. So when I've gotten into relationships and I was let down, it sounds stupid, but it seems like the more that I was let down, the more I gravitated toward that person. That's crazy. But why? Because when I was let down as a child from different situations, it made me feel unwanted. And when I felt unwanted, I felt like I needed to prove a point. And when I felt like I needed to prove a point, it made me want to be closer to said person, whether it was my dad, my boyfriend, my husband at the time, whatever, whoever. And going through all of that leads me to believe that all this time it's me that was lacking. But we don't want to sit in that truth because it hurts. And this is why sometimes we need to go ahead and stay single so that we can get through all of this stuff. In my previous episode, I called it the messy middle. Because seriously, it is ugly and it gets real messy. A lot of times we have like these moments where we feel like we're in controlled, what do you call it? Controlled chaos. It doesn't feel crazy while you're in it. Why? Because you're used to it. It's amazing how much we can function in mess. We don't even realize as mess until you leave the situation and you're thinking back. Like so many things that I've gone through, like sometimes I'm just like dazed out and I'm just thinking and I'm like, oh my God. Like, why did I even allow that? But it's because it's a pattern. I've been in 2 long-term relationships, right? My first relationship, real relationship, I started when I was like 15 to 24 or something like that. And then I got into another relationship shortly after that, which ended up being my marriage for the last 15 years of my life. So 25 years of my life, something around in there, and I'm only 40. So that's more than half of my life that I've been in relationships. That's pretty much all of my teenage years and most of my adulthood. I've been connected to somebody. And now at 40, I'm trying to figure out how to do this single thing because I don't even know how to be single at this point. So we call those like, I don't know, what are they? Survival patterns. We're trying to like survive through chaos. We're trying to survive through figuring ourselves out. We're trying to survive through learning who we are. We're trying to survive through, should I stay single or should I get with somebody. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, being in this space is so different because I have to tell myself, like, it's okay to be single. Because I am a relationship kind of girl, okay? Let's just put it out there. That is me. And I don't know how to be single like that. Like, I don't know how to be single like that. I don't have time to be dating and messing with this person or that person, or being with this person or that person and dealing with different personalities. I don't have time for that. That's too much work. It's too much work. So I'm just really trying to figure this thing out. But what I will say is, I ain't going back. I ain't going back. And I have to keep reminding myself of that because I speak to so many women and they're like, well, how did you move on? How did you move forward? Just like the old folks say, when you get tired of being sick and tired, that's all I got for you. When you get tired of being sick and tired, you will make the necessary changes to move forward. I think a lot of times we confuse attachment with love. That's another reason why we move backwards. Be honest with yourself. Most of us don't even know what love is. Like, for real. Most of us don't even know what love is, and I promise you, at 40, I'm figuring it out. I think we attach love with more so of a feeling. Like, oh, this person makes me feel good. Oh, he said this to me. She said that to me. We attach love to those things. And that's not love. That's just a feeling. Lust, whatever you want to call it. But I think a lot of that also comes from trauma. We trauma bond with people because they make us feel good. And when I really reminisce about things, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. It's like, we bond with people that share similarities, right? We connect with people, we converse with people that share the same patterns. And a lot of times when we break away from relationships, we don't want to do the work and we feel so alone. So it brings us back to that person because we feel like that's our only option. We feel like they're the best thing that we'll ever get. And I had a conversation one time where a young lady said to me, she was going through a divorce, and she said to me, she felt like her ex or her current man was really the best thing that she was ever going to experience. And I said to her, I gotta watch my mouth sometimes because sometimes I feel like I'm a little too insensitive, but it's just being real. And I said to her, If you think that's the best thing that you ever gonna get, then you the problem. You're the problem. Because there's no way on God's green earth that that's the best option. Sorry. A lot of times we want to hear what we want to hear. And one of the biggest problems is that we don't have the right people around us to give us the truth. And sometimes the truth does hurt. Nobody ever said that it was supposed to feel good. What I've also learned is we got to watch who we're around. Example, other women. If you are surrounded by women that continue to put up with mess, continue to deal with mess, continue to go back to their broken homes, continue to downplay themselves, continue to dim their light, all to please a man, all to please someone that's not treating them with respect, then be careful with that too. Because they don't expect you to do better. They expect you to do exactly what they're doing. And it sounds harsh, but it's true. In the space that I'm in right now, I don't have time to be around women that are not serving me well. I'm sorry, I'm not condoning jacked up marriages. I'm not. That's just me. So I'm not hanging around women that have jacked up marriages. Sorry. Because it's not benefiting me. In order for me to grow and go higher, I need to be around women that are successful and that are going in the direction that I want to go in personally, in their relationships, financially, all that. So I just want to, I just want to keep it real with y'all because there's so many of us going through divorces. I'm not promoting divorce either. I'm just sharing with you my journey and where I am. And there's millions of other women that's in the same space as me. And so we have to encourage each other and we got to pour into each other and we got to uplift each other because if we're not doing it, then who's doing it for us? I remember when, I'm giving y'all too much information now. I remember when I text a woman about my ex. Because y'all know how we do as women. We want to know, right? And then we mess around and find out. So I text this woman and I asked her who she was to my then husband. And I'm not going to disclose who this woman is, but anyway, if you know, you know. So I text this woman and I asked her who she was to my then husband. And she goes, I introduced myself as his wife, because that's who I was at the time. And she was bold enough to respond and say, and I'm his girlfriend. So, and in that moment, I'm like, Well, I'm his wife. So who's higher than the wife, right? That was my mentality. That was my mentality. But then when I came up out of the situation, matter of fact, not even when I came out of the situation, while I was still in the situation, I was like, ain't nobody doing this. I'm better than this, right? But I still stayed. Y'all. I ain't leave. I still didn't leave. And it just really makes me think as a woman, how shallow, how low do we go to be wanted? Like, why are we trying to prove points to save a relationship? First of all, why are we even competing over a man that don't want either of us? Because guess what he gonna do? He playing both of us. So I'm gonna tell y'all something real funny that my first lady said one day. She said, why are we fighting over the same man? He's playing both of us, so why don't we just jump him? I thought it was the cutest thing, but it's so real and it's super funny because it's very true. When you are a mature woman and you come up out of that mess and you really got time to think, it's like, yo, girl, why don't we just tear him up? Because he playing both of us. Like, nobody's getting nothing out of this, right? So it cracks me up and it makes me laugh now that I think back because I'm like, Shanique, you are so much better than that, honey. And you don't deserve any of that. And when I finally woke up and smelled the coffee, I was then able to leave peacefully. And it was really, one of the best decisions for me personally. I'm not here to throw shade. I'm not here to play nobody. I'm not here for none of that. Quite honestly, me and my ex-husband have a great relationship and we co-parent very well. But all in all, it's the principle behind the mess, right? Nobody wins. Nobody wins when all of that is happening. But what I will tell you is, sometimes when you walk away, you feel like you lost something, right? Sometimes when you walk away, you feel like, why did I just give it up? Why did I give it up so easily? People looking in from the outside thinking you just got a divorce. But people looking in from the outside, they don't know the journey that you were on to try to keep the relationship. All people see is the breakup, right? They don't know all the in-between and everything that transpired and went down before the breakup. But I feel like when I walked away, I gained a piece of me back. And I feel so much more at peace. Like, I feel like now I can breathe. I feel like now I can accomplish some goals that I set forth for myself. I feel like financially I'm doing better. I'm able to make decisions, clear decisions. There's no confusion in my life at all. And I'm so thankful for that. And the sad part about that is, as I was going through my healing and everything, and still going through healing, one day I woke up and I was like, I don't know the last time I had an argument. I don't even argue no more. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm so at peace. Like, I don't even argue anymore. And arguing was like a daily part of my life at one point. And I haven't had a true argument in like a year. That's crazy. But because we're so programmed to dysfunction, we keep going back and we keep going back. And one of the things that helped me move from going back, because I could have easily went back. I didn't have to get a divorce, right? It was the self-realization that if I don't break this cycle, then my daughters will see what it's like to be mistreated. And that is not what I want. Because sometimes we preach and we teach, but we're not walking in it. And I had to realize that with myself. Like, Shanique, you know better. You say you know better. So why aren't you walking in that better? And it's because we're so used to being attached to dysfunction that we don't even know what a healthy relationship looks like. And at 40, I'm just trying to figure that out. I'm learning that. Although I'm not in a relationship, I am learning how to be for when that time comes, right? I'm relearning myself. I'm changing. It's like I'm working backwards to reverse a lot of things that was instilled in me and things that I've gone through. Just a lot. And it gets uncomfortable because I'm a grown woman. And it's like, why am I here? But every time we decide to go back, we start the clock over. Every time. And then we replay. Dang, if I would have just left 2 years ago, a year ago, I would have been much further now. You got to break the habit. You got to break the cycle. You got to break the pattern. And I think the hardest part of that is pretty much just letting go. Letting go. Another thing that we do, and the reason why we continue to go back, is we replay the situation over and over and over again. And that's like a big no-no. You gotta have a strong mindset to get through a breakup, a divorce, whatever you're going through. You gotta have a strong mindset, and you gotta have, like I said earlier, the right people around you. You also gotta mean business about yourself. Because as long as you keep playing, they're gonna keep playing with you. And people do what they're allowed to do. Doesn't matter what you say. If you are not standing on business, they don't care what you're talking about. It's going in one ear and out the other, I promise you. We teach people how to treat us. And I've heard the saying over and over and over again, but I've never really paid it any mind until a couple years ago. And I'm like, yeah. That's why you're getting treated like that, because you set the tone for your own life. And your audience and the people in your life are just following what you said. So why are you mad at them? It's that simple. It's that simple. We gotta stop allowing people to come into our lives and break what we worked so hard to achieve. Because every time we allow someone to come in and play in a circus, because that's what it is, then we end up being the clown. And I'm tired of being a clown, y'all. I'm tired of being a clown. I'm 2 relationships in, and they didn't work. So I'm taking a break. I got to take a break because something ain't right. Something ain't right. But I love this break that I'm on because it's really helping me to be more self-aware. It's really allowing me to accept feedback. I'm able to watch. I'm able to make a decision on what I want and don't want. It's like an amazing space to be in. Sometimes it sucks because I got to get used to this single life still. I mean, I'm 2 years, year and a half, 2 years single. And it's still a process. It's still a process. This is why I want to share this stuff with y'all because I already know so many of y'all going through the same thing that I'm going through. So since y'all don't want to talk and y'all too shy to talk, I'm going to talk for y'all because I understand and I know what it's like. A lot of times we rewrite things, I said we replay things over and over again. But returning feels like a safe place because it's something that we're comfortable with, right? But I want y'all to know that if you just take the step and the leap of faith to try different, you never know what the outcome is going to be. So enough of giving y'all all my tea for the day. I'm going to jump into some of these questions that were written to me from my audience. And I'm going to give y'all my short answers on these. So how do I stop romanticizing the good moments when the bad moments keep destroying me? You're really going to have to find some time to just let it go. Simple. It's not rocket science. Just let it go. You got to become strong enough to let go. And that's just the bottom line. You know you don't need to be there. You know you don't deserve the treatment. Let it go. Why do you keep holding on to it? Stop replaying stuff over and over again. How do I know if I'm actually in love or if I'm addicted to the pain, the pattern, and the hope? Wow. I laugh because that's me right there. First, you need to search and think about your entire life, your past. Because most of the time, your past is what's bringing you to your present. So again, you need to dig deep within yourself to figure out what the true issue is. It didn't start in your relationship. It started before that. So you need to figure out what was the starting point. Childhood, parenting, friendship. It started somewhere else before you got there. So that's what I'm going to leave y'all with. Whew. That was heavy. Going back feels like comfort, but it's really a trap. So I'm going to need y'all to stay focused. I'm going to need y'all to know who you are. Do the self-work. And in 2026, if you need to walk away, that's what you need to do. Period. I thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Heart Surgery Podcast. Please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Heart Surgery Podcast, and please make sure that you are sharing with your community, men and women. I will catch y'all on another episode. Talk to y'all later.